Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is overcoming the fear of making offers. If you're new to real estate investing, putting in that first, even that 10th offer can feel like jumping off a cliff. The fear of rejection, making a mistake, or just looking foolish can be paralyzing. But here's the truth. Making offers is where the magic and the money happens. Here's how to kick that fear to the curb and start taking action. Number 1, shift your mindset. Treat every offer as a learning experience, not a make or break moment. The more you practice, the more confident you'll get, so see each offer as a step towards mastery. Number 2, know your numbers. Confidence comes with preparation. Run your numbers, know your maximum allowable offer, and trust your analysis. When you're clear on the math, you'll never overpay out of fear. Number 3, detach from the outcome. Not every offer will get accepted, and that's okay. In fact, most offers won't get accepted. Your job is to make the right offers, not win every deal. Focus on the process, not the results. Number 4, embrace rejection. Getting told no is just part of the game. Every rejection brings you closer to a yes, so don't take it personally. Take it as progress. Number 5, take action, even if it's imperfect. Don't wait for the stars to align. Make the offer, learn from the experience, and improve as you go. Action beats perfection every time. So, REIN Nation, remember, the only way to win in real estate is to play the game. Don't let fear hold you back from making offers and seizing opportunities. Stay bold, stay persistent, and keep leveling up your badassery. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is the definition of battle-tested. Ron Faraci has owned and managed hundreds of rentals across the Northeast, thriving in some of the nation's toughest low-income markets, where most investors won't even dare to go. As the former owner of CTREIA, the 5th largest RIA in America, Ron has trained thousands of landlords, authored the must-read Confessions of a Landlord, and even created the legendary copyrighted 31-page Bulletproof Lease, the gold standard for property protection if you're playing in the low-income space. Blunt, fearless, and unfiltered, Ron brings the kind of real-world wisdom that only comes from years in the trenches. He's here to share the hard truths, the lessons learned, and the strategies that actually work. It's my pleasure to have him on the show, so welcome, Ron Faraci.
Hey, Jen, how are you?
I'm so
Love
glad
that
this
intro. I got to tell you, that was the best intro. I've been listening to it for 2-3 minutes now, just sitting here. That's fantastic.
You've been listening to it like 3 or 4 minutes because I kept messing it up and having to go
Oh,
back and say it again. I had
that's
a tongue
such a,
tie.
and you know what? Not only was it entertaining, it was informative. It was educational because I subscribe to that same theory on all the
Yes.
offers. It's like saying I'm the world's best baseball player, but I'm not going to get up to bat, you know, and so make it make sense. So you got to make offers, get out there, detach yourself from the outcome. Yeah,
Yes.
make part of the process. That pig has to go through the python. You're going to have to just make a lot of offers if you want to buy a lot of real estate. It's a numerical equation.
Pig through the python.
I got to work on my analogies.
Heard that, Ron. I love it. I'm totally stealing that.
You can steal it.
All right. So give us a little background on you. How did you get involved in real estate?
It's nothing exciting. I wish it was. I wish I had a better narrative. I'm just an average guy, high school educated, grew up in Connecticut. My wife and I've been married for 26 years. And, we lived in Los Angeles when we were younger and broke and, just living the life out there. And I had the idea, my wife and I, everything I did was with my wife and I, but I'm talking myself, is had the idea that, well, gosh, if we just keep doing what we're doing, we're just going to work forever. The average life expectancy for a male is 78, and you retire at 65. You worked all your life for 13 years and those last few years, let's be honest, right? They're a little tough. So I just thought that was the definition of insanity to go down that road along with everybody else. So we thought that if we could buy enough rental properties and we get enough people to go to work every single day, and then give us a third of their paycheck on the first of the month, well, then we don't have to go to work. I mean, it was just as simple as that. And so we left LA because you can't really do that out there for cash flow due to the pricing, whereas the Northeast and a lot of areas of the country, but where we were from, Connecticut, was a target-rich environment for that cash flow strategy, specifically in the lower income, portion of that, because what the famous bank robber once said is, why do you rob banks? Well, that's because that's where the money's at. Is it headache ridden? Well, of course it is, and that's why it pays well. Easy doesn't pay well, not in real estate. So we started acquiring. I moved to Connecticut with a job, like everybody. That's how I started my journey, probably about 18 years ago, give or take, maybe a little less. I just started buying and buying and buying and then started managing as well. And we, my wife and I, we got up to, at our peak, owning and managing almost 800 units, mostly Class C, a little bit of C minus, D plus, never full on D. And for your listeners, D is the hood, and for no ethical reasons, I'll go to the hood if there's money there. There's just no money there, right? The spreadsheet says there's money there, but the reality is there's not. So we operated in what we call ghetto adjacent. And it's a contact sport. It's not theoretical. It's not spreadsheet driven. It's a contact sport. It's wildly profitable, obviously. And we had some success. We had a lot of failures too, by the way. So did that for years, and probably, 7 years ago or so, the RIA, the Real Estate Investors Association, in every state has them. There's 200 of them throughout the United States. So first of all, your listeners, join your local RIA.
Absolutely.
That should be the beginning of your journey, by the way, because it was mine. So kind of full circle. So the owners of that RIA had approached myself and a partner of mine about maybe we would take over. They were getting older and wanted to move on to the next chapter, and I was like, wow, okay, I don't know how to run a RIA, and but did it for 7 years. And I got to tell you, it was one of the joys of my life. I never thought, being a low income landlord, and, my reputation is that I would get satisfaction and joy out of helping others. I never thought that I would give a shit. I was battle tested, and, all that money's mine. You go make your own. I don't care, But what I found was getting into a room, if you will, of people who are beginning their journey and maybe even halfway through their journey. And I could offer some value from the mistakes I'd made. And I got to tell you, I just really loved it. I did. And so I about 7 years ago, we acquired that. And then about 4 years ago, I retired to Florida, sold off a lot of our properties, almost all of them. And my wife sold her management company. And we retired to Florida because, that's what you do, right? That's the law. And, hike your pants up to your chest and move to Florida. So I still own CTREIA. So I would go back to Connecticut once a month, 3 days a month for our monthly meeting, our coaching class, and other things. And I got to tell you, I'm blessed. I live in a beach community down in Florida. And if you'd have told me, working class guy, that, hey, you're going to live on a beach and not have to worry about money anymore, I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to sit on the beach all day, drink margaritas. Turns out that's not true. I was really looking forward to that third Monday of every month and going back to Connecticut. I live in paradise, and I'm ready to go back to, back to the jungle, so to speak, and But being within my tribe in the RIA tribe was really important to me. And so about 6 months ago, I ended up selling the RIA to a mutual friend of ours, who
Yes.
she's awesome, isn't she?
My girl,
And
Lisa Romano. Love her.
yeah, Lisa's a rock star, man.
Yes.
And so it was important to me and my partners. I had two partners in CTREIA. It was important to us that we stood on the shoulders of giants, and it made us look tall. So it was important that we pass it forward to somebody who had chops. And Lisa and her two partners are rock stars, and we felt like, hey, the community's in good hands, and all we did was pass the baton. And so, and so here I am down in Florida now to wrap up this story, and I don't have a RIA anymore. I sold my properties, and I'm quote unquote retired. I'm 58 years old, and I'm like, wow, I'm bored. And so I used to get a lot of people asking me for my lease because I have a 31-page lease. I mean, that's how pathetic as a society that we need a 31-page lease, but welcome to the NFL, right? And but that's what I used in my portfolio, and I copyrighted it, and insurance companies use it. I mean, it's become a thing. So anyway, I bought the domain name bulletprooflease.com, and I started a TikTok channel. I think I'm the oldest guy on TikTok. And so I just make videos. I don't know how to edit them. If somebody calls me mid video, I get pissed because I'm like, God damn, I got to start all over now, so I don't know how to edit it. So, but anyway, it's kind of taken off, and I've got like, I don't know, 12, 13,000 followers, and, and so my lease sells a lot. And then people started asking me, would you teach me how to do what you did? Because about half my portfolio, I never used the bank to buy them. I mean, you can't get rich using a bank, by the way. You should,
Right.
there's lesson number one. You better get comfortable with that. And so I was like, well, I don't really teach. I'm retired. So but I took on a couple students, and, it's not really a thing I do, but I'll mentor a couple people a year, one-on-one. I don't do the classroom thing, anything like that. So if you want to come down to Florida and spend a day with me, I'll do that with you for a pretty reasonable price. But yeah, and that's kind of me now. I've become a thing, and here I am on a podcast with you.
Well, I love so many things that you said, and I want to kind of go back to the whole helping other investors. And you said that you stood on the shoulders of giants. And I love that about this industry, in that we get kind of in a groove and get our properties cash flowing and doing this. And then we have this time on our hands.
It's amazing.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes,
and
yeah.
It is so rewarding to give back. And I was very surprised when I got into this industry. I really thought it was going to be a cutthroat, like, I'm not going to tell anyone I'm looking at this property because I think it's such a great deal.
Yeah.
Like, I have 10 more that look just like that. Who cares? So it is, there is a lot of support in this. And I also want to go and take a quick second here to talk about RIAs, because Real Estate Investor Association, they have them across the country. I actually have two I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have two in this area. And it is such a great way to get some education. You have to pay to become a member. Some are as low as $250. They go as high as $400 for the year.
For the whole year, it's a great value.
It's a great value. And so people are investing so you have a little bit higher caliber of people attending these events. And there's a shit ton of money in RIAs. When you're talking about don't use banks, you get those connections when you're at RIAs, and people get in there. They're like, oh, I want to flip houses. And they're like, oh, I don't want to get my nails dirty. I'll just be a private money lender instead. And you have all that opportunity in there. You can find deals from your local RIA. It is just I think it really propelled my own personal business by joining our RIA in this area. So thank you for doing that. And I want to know. Go ahead. Do you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to agree with what you said. It's step one in the primordial soup of investing. You have to begin there. And I'm firm on that. So much so I bought one, just to,
and you can take these education programs nationally, and they're, behind a computer. Yeah, I mean, I coach for one of these, so I'm not bashing them, but it just takes you to a different level when you're in the room with people. And
100%.
When you're looking at the, monthly events, who cares who the speaker is? It's the people in the room that you want to connect with. So just go and do it, and make sure if you are not a member of a RIA in your area, pause this podcast and go
Amen.
join
Yeah.
immediately.
Not even a close call. I agree 100%. I couldn't agree more, in fact.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to know, what are these toughest markets that most investors are afraid of? So where were most of your 800 units?
Yeah, so owned and managed. So in Connecticut, central Connecticut, and
Oh,
yeah. So people think of Connecticut that it's all country clubs and
I
and
did as
well,
well.
yeah. Oh no, yeah. It's that. Yeah, Connecticut's a beautiful state. It's my home. It'll always hold a special place. But we have our, listen, we have our inner city troubles, and like anybody, it's as tough as anywhere in America. Not in the wealthy portions of Connecticut, but in the normal, if you will, okay, the cities of Connecticut, and we operated in the best way to talk about it is, multifamily is classified as A, B, C, or D, right? A
Yes.
is, 0 to 10 years old in good condition in a good area. A better way
Amenities.
yeah, exactly. Amenities, good point. A better way to delineate that for your listeners is by who you're renting to. So in Class A, if you want a Class A rental, you're renting to a doctor and a lawyer, right? If Class B, you're renting to, let's just say, a cop and a school teacher. Class C, the sweet spot, you're renting, she works at Dunkin' Donuts, he works at Walmart, right? And they're both making $16 an hour each. That's $32 an hour. They can pay $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom cold flat. That means, they pay utilities. Now, D, of course, means they don't have a job, which means you're in the Section 8 business. Okay. And that's a good business to be in, if you're prepared for the administrative burden of that. And so we operated in that C market, C minus, so we often said that if our people fail, and most of our tenants, I got to tell you, most of our tenants are terrific. I mean, 98%, an overwhelming majority are terrific people. You'd have a beer with them if you saw them at the bar, and I have. It's that 2%, though, that professional tenant. And that's why a 31 page is necessary. It's in a blue state. In an ideal world, it doesn't matter where you live, but it does. So if you're in one of those tougher tenant-friendly states, then you just got to come prepared for that. But that's where the money's at. So I get all the time, Ron, why don't you just buy in Florida? I live in a nice area of Florida. Well, that's great. I could buy a ton in Florida. I'm just not going to make any money. But you can evict them easier. Yeah, but I'm not going to make any money. There's no cash flow.
Those taxes down there and the insurance down in Florida. I mean, that's
you get all that. I mean, you're just not going to make any money. So you got to find those markets that where people always look at the cost of entry and plus your cap rate and all that. But what they don't think about, that third thing that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet, is the demand for rentals. So years ago, I went to Memphis, Tennessee. I had some money that I wasn't expecting. Sold a building. Wasn't looking to do, but I did, had some money. And under the guise of, and I don't want to pick on Memphis, by the way, because this is years ago, it might have changed. But, I said to my wife, I'm like, we own a lot in Connecticut. We should diversify, because that's the buzzword, diversify. So I literally flew down to Memphis. Again, this is just years ago. And, I couldn't believe it. I looked at like an 82 unit building for like $690,000. And it wasn't horrible. And I remember calling my wife going, whoa, yes, F Elvis, we're going to be the kings of Memphis here pretty soon. Well, then you dig deeper, because that's just the top line. What's the demand? What's the vacancy rate? Well, it was like 19% back then. I was like, okay. So there's the thing nobody talks about. So where we operated, and a lot of the Northeast and the Midwest, you are getting, not lately, by the way, but historically, relatively low entry point mixed with a relatively high cap rate, if you will, high rentals, tripled with low vacancy rates. So if I place an order, or I'm sorry, if I place a ad on Facebook Marketplace, because that's where my tenant base hangs out, I'm not going on the MLS, and I place an ad for just market-driven 2-3 bedroom cold flat at market rates, I really will get 100 inquiries in a month or in a week, 100 in a week. So because they're just not building more of that product in certain areas of the country. I mean, in my area of the country, in Connecticut, central Connecticut, and really the Northeast, the last time you see a 6 unit building being built is 1938, right?
Oh.
Or because it's not cost effective to build them anymore in most markets. Now, you and Raleigh might be a little bit different, but you're not going to get typically a 6-unit building where you live, right? You're going to get a 2-unit or a 300 unit. You don't find that 12-unit building very often. In my market, we did, and yeah, that's what we started buying. I mean, that's where all the money's at. Yeah.
That's so funny. I just sold a 12-unit.
That's so funny. Look, of course, right? Yeah.
Not in Raleigh. It was in Southern Virginia. But anyway.
Okay.
Thank God that shit's off the books. But anyway.
I love it.
And I was interrupted you briefly before because I grew up in South Florida, and the insurance is what made me move to Raleigh, North Carolina, because we got our asses handed to us with Hurricane Wilma. This was 2000.
I remember Wilma.
Yes. And I remember Wilma. 1.
Yeah, that's a baby hurricane.
Zero damage, but
that's just a windy day down here. Yeah.
But my monthly payment for my townhome at the time, I was a school teacher at the time, almost doubled. And I was like, I can't handle this. So I was stressed out. And I was like, I'm moving to North Carolina. And I literally put my house on the market the next day. So
well, it's still a problem down here, by the way. Yes, we're still working through all that.
Yes. All right. So you heard my badassery bestowment about writing the offer, but to take this a step further, if the listeners are looking to buy rental properties, what are some red flags they should stay away from?
Well, so it depends on the market you're going into. In my market, we're going to be looking for things of, I'll give you an example I run into all the time is pro forma rents. So to your listeners, whenever you get from a broker, from a seller, from an agent, the pro forma expenses, the pro forma rents, when you hear the word pro forma, I want you to think of pretend. It's not real. So let's just keep it small. I'd get a 6-unit building and they give me pro forma rents are $7,200 a month. Okay, well, what are actual rents? Oh, actual is $5,500. Okay. So pro forma is their made up number. And so what happens is a lot of newbies, they'll see that number. Oh, wow, $7,200 a month. And I can pay $525 for it. That's a great deal. Well, that's not real. That's pretend, right? So, and then to kind of circle back to the demand thing, I'll see this all the time too. And a little nugget for your listeners is, okay, so you walk this building and there's a 2-bedroom and you think market for that 2-bedroom is $1,100 a month, but he's getting $1,500 a month. You're like, whoa! And there's 6 of them, but and you're like, there's no way, it's not worth $1,500. And he shows you a lease. He goes, yeah, I'm really getting $1,600. You talk to the tenant. Turns out he's really paying $1,600. You're like, whoa, your number's not wrong. His is. What happens is the next question out of your mouth is, well, how long was it vacant before you got this guy? Well, it was vacant 6 months. Okay. So of course, and you see that all the time. So when somebody's going to sell a building, they'll keep it vacant for a little bit just to get a high paying tenant in, because there's an ask for every seat. And if you keep it on there long enough in a tight rental market, you're going to get a price. They won't stay long. It'll take you forever to rent it, but that doesn't matter if they're selling it. They're getting $1,500 a month, and so that's the income you think you're buying, and that is the income you're buying until that guy moves, right. And then once he moves, and that just invites a whole set of other problems, right? So now you close on that building, and now you realize, that guy's abnormally high. That's not really the market, but he was dumb enough to pay because he was desperate. And now you end up relaxing your standards because you don't want him to move. It's like, oh, he's late on rent. Well, I don't want him to move. That's okay. Don't worry about it. And that's when the problems start. But that's where my opportunity lies, because that's how I bought my buildings. Everything I ever bought, I inherited their problem. That's where the money's at. Too many new investors, they're looking for, what the thing's a little beat. Yeah, that's good. Because if it was a big, beautiful, cash flowing, gushing oil well of money, they're not going to sell it to you. And they're certainly not going to sell it to you at a good price. So I'm looking for the problem. So when you're a new investor out there looking for cash flowing multis, I want you to look for a problem. Look for a bad building. Look for a 6-unit with 2 furnaces that don't work. Oh, that's beautiful. I just get excited thinking about it, and because why would that excite me? Because that means that person's trying to sell the building and he can't sell it and he can't figure out why. Well, he can't sell it because there's 2 working furnaces. There's no bank in a loan where 1/3 of the heat doesn't work. So therefore I'll approach him and say, hey, listen, da 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 da. I can't get a loan on it, nor can anybody else. I'm not going to pay cash. How about if I give you da 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 da, and I'll create a deal with him. So I don't spend my money, time, and energies looking for deals. I spend my energies crafting deals, and that's where the money's at.
And you're talking
So
about seller financing, just to be clear with
I
them.
do a lot of seller financing. I'll do some master lease with options, a sub two. Not an expert in that subject, but I'll do some sub two. But mostly seller financing. I'm very good crafting that deal, making it a win-win, but really a win for me. I try not to do any collateral damage to the other side, so I'll try to craft it that's fair. But I'm not their lawyer or accountant, so I'm doing what's good for me.
Gotcha. So Ron, let's get into the management side of things. And you managed all of these, or your
I
wife
did.
had a management company? Did I hear
Yep.
that?
So
Okay.
the answer is yes to both of that. Yep. I ran our portfolio, and she ran the management side. Yep. So I was the boots on the ground dealing with the tenants and, the cops and the drunk boyfriend and the gangs, and had to hire a gang one time to go talk to another gang because they threatened my wife. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Ended up hiring the guy, by the way, as an employee,
Oh
and he
my
collected
goodness.
our rent. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, the management side. So that's the fun part, right? That's where we earn our paycheck. Yeah. So I could go tip by tip all day. It is a contact sport. My best advice I can give you is, in that world, you want to stick to the rules. And by that I mean your policies. So you're a day late on rent, I'm giving you a notice to quit. I've heard every excuse. They messed up my paycheck. That's a common one. My bank account got hacked. I hear that all the time, right? Don't care. Here's your notice to quit. And you don't want to ever relax that, because the minute you do, you could be violating some laws by not applying the same standard to everybody. But more importantly, from a business standpoint, somebody's being trained in that building at all times. It's either you or them, right? And the minute you show weakness on the relaxing of your standards, it's over. Call me, I'll buy the building. And I'm tough, but I'm very fair. I mean, you won't find many court cases against me. You won't even find a lot of negative reviews about me. I'm very tough, but I'm very fair. I provide good, clean, safe, affordable housing to really awesome people. But if you're looking to find out, I'm the guy to implement that. So yeah, I just learned tips and tricks over the years to minimize my touches with the tenants. You'll never eliminate them, but it's an incredibly profitable business. I mean, I retired 4 years after buying. So in 4 years, I was able to completely erase the need for a job for the rest of my life. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of mistakes made. But if you're looking to make the most money, then low income landlording is the way to do it. You've never met a broke slumlord. We may be assholes, but we're not broke. But also, the other side of that is, I really viewed myself as the last train for these folks to catch before homelessness. I mean, if you can't make it work with me, the next stop for you is under a bridge. So I'm servicing a segment of the market nobody wants to touch. Nobody likes to see the sausage made. Everybody wants to be sterile and clean and go to the nice shiny building downtown on Fifth Avenue. But that's cool. But Ford made more money than Rolls-Royce last year. So
good
that's
point. So for the newer investors who are looking to buy multifamily, do you recommend that they self-manage, or do you recommend they hire? Okay, so explain.
I do.
Like what I know you said, don't be flexible with your rules and really stick to the lease and everything, but I mean, this goes against what I teach my students. I always tell them, make sure you find a good property management company. So
and you know what? It doesn't have to mean I'm right or you're wrong or vice versa. It's just a different philosophy. So in the low income, I actually required my students to manage for a year before they farm it off. If they're local, of course. Obviously, if they're buying out of state, then, and I do have I do have out of state students. So assuming you're local, then I will require it. So the reason is that you need to feel your shit, so you can figure out your shit. You can't manage the manager without ever managing the building.
Right.
I'm a good example of that. So I can fix nothing. I don't know how to change a doorknob. I mean, I'm lazy. I own it. But I literally can't fix anything. I can't change a toilet, but I know how much a toilet should cost to change, how long it should take. And I know enough if it's the second toilet and it's leaking, for the second time, then the wax ring is bad. Did you change the wax ring or just the toilet? And so I couldn't do that, but I know it. And the only reason I knew that is because I did it. So I need to understand the nuances of the tenant, the building, the local laws and everything, because I can't manage the manager if I don't know how to do it.
Right.
So that was always my theory. But I certainly understand the other side. But in low income housing, I think it's important to get in the ring a little bit. It's not an intellectual exercise. And the problem with property management in my end of the business is not every manager wants to manage there. So if you go into a city, you probably only got 2 or 3 people who are even willing to do it.
Right.
So you'll cycle through them because they go in and out of the business because it's a soul sucking business. So you'll hire what you think is the greatest thing since Christ left Cleveland. Oh, this guy's great. He's going to manage my buildings, and then it turns out in 6 months he cashes in his chips and goes to work at Home Depot, and it's like, okay, well, now I got to manage again. So you may go cycle in and out of managers, but if you've never managed, that's going to be a problem. So get in there, get your hands dirty, learn the business from every angle, from rent collection to maintenance to repairs to CapEx to the landscaping contractor, and the only way to learn that is to make the mistake. And I've made them. Listen, one of my rules is your lawn guy and your snow guy has to be the same guy. Don't give the job, don't hire a lawn guy and hire a separate snow guy. You always hire the same guy, right? Because the lawn guy makes the money. Snow guys don't make any money. There's no money in snow plowing. They only do it to keep you happy so they can get the lawn work.
Gotcha.
So if you're giving one guy all the shit, the other guy all the gravy, you're going to lose the snow guy at the wrong time in February, right? But you don't know that unless you run the building. So that's my long answer to that.
Well, I am a perfect example of why you should manage, because like I said, we had this 12 unit. I just gave it to someone there who was going to manage it for me, and they ran it to the ground. And I didn't have the experience of being that technician, talking about the pyramid. You have the technician, the manager, and then the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I did not have that. So I didn't know what to ask them and really monitor them. And so I learned the hard way.
Yeah. And we all did, by the way. That's how I learned too, right? I mean, I'll give you another example. So there's little things I've learned over the years. So, here's one for your listeners. So, okay. So you buy a 6-unit building. I'm just always going to use that as an example, right? So it's 3 stories. The first thing you should do when you close, day 1, go down into the basement. Okay. And of course, that depends on where you live in America, right? But in the Northeast, Midwest, and a lot of the country, there's basements. And in the basement are all these handles. One of those handles is the magic handle. That's your master water shutoff valve. There's one handle that shuts off the water to the whole building. And I don't mean to swear, but that's the oh shit handle, right? And so you're at home one day, you're out to dinner, and your phone rings. It's your tenant. Oh no, what's wrong? They're like, hey, Ron, and they're on the first floor, second floor, I've got water pouring in from the upstairs unit. Oh no. So now you're on the phone, you have to tell this tenant to go out into the basement and look for a handle in a room full of handles. Okay. So what I want you to do is go down in there on day you close, and I want you to paint that magic handle bright orange or bright yellow, something that sticks out that you can now tell the tenant, go down to the basement, look for a bright orange handle and just turn it. Shut off the water. Also to your contractors, contractors cut through and cut a pipe and the water's gushing out. They don't know where to find that handle. It's different in every basement. So, things like that you don't really realize are super important at scale. Other lessons, but I could go all day on this. In any of my units, you'll never find any garbage disposals, no ceiling fans.
I don't do ice makers.
Ice makers. Oh, never an ice maker, because that little hose comes out. And that'll do $100,000 worth of damage. Yeah. And so the only questions you have to ask in my business when you're going to do or not do something are 3 questions, and 3 questions only. Will I get more money if I do it or don't do it? Will I rent it faster, or will they stay longer? Then the answer for a garbage disposal, let's say, is of course not. In low income housing, a garbage disposal is irrelevant. It's only a problem to me. So, so if it's Section 8 and you have the Section 8 inspection, garbage disposal doesn't work, you failed. You failed. So now you have 2 weeks to fix it in most municipalities. And if you don't fix it in 2 weeks and give them written proof, then they keep the rent that month forever. You never get it back. Well, it turns out it didn't work because there was a G.I. Joe down there, a golf ball. And of course, you say to the tenant, how did that get there? And they're like, I don't know. And so I didn't get any more money. I got no benefit from having, I just failed the Section 8 inspection or generated a maintenance call. Okay. But if the garbage disposal was never there in the first place, I don't have to have it pass inspection. So same thing with the ceiling fan, no value to do that. So carpet, same thing. Nozzle sprayers on all your sinks. You should never have a hot water and hot and cold water handles. Don't have two handles, have one, the stick shift style.
What about dishwashers?
Never a dishwasher. Now see that's so if you're but if you're in the class B or class A market, then you probably need a dishwasher and maybe even an ice maker, although I'd still not do an ice maker. But in your market, it is. So in my market, in the low income market, my turnovers are way less in terms of dollars, right? So when you turn over a class A unit, Jen, of course, you got to spend a little more. You're putting in granite, you're putting in dishwashers. Oh, I'm not doing any of that. So my turnover cost is extremely low. And my tenant base, and this is where I disagree with most landlords, a class A tenant is more of a headache than a class C tenant. And nobody believes me, but it's so true. So here's an analogy. If you go out to a really high-end steakhouse and you spend $80 on a steak, and it's not quite medium rare, it's medium. Are you going to say something? Maybe. It's $80. You go to Outback. It's a good steak. It's fine. It was $18. So a class A landlord doesn't get less phone calls than I get. I get we're the same. I just get different phone calls, right? They're getting my cabinet door is squeaky. I'm getting my boyfriend's drunk and won't leave. So it's just a different thing, but except I'm getting cash flow. They're getting appreciation. Right. So we're trading off. But those little tips and tricks have come. And again, I could talk about this all day. I mean, here's a funny one that I learned from another landlord years ago. Bought a building, tough area of town, real tough, where most people don't buy, but I did. And it was just the reason I bought it was because the owner just couldn't do it and was having a drug problem. There's drug dealers everywhere, and they're hard to get rid of. You can't just show up, puff your chest. That's just not how that works, right? I pay other people to do that, But so finally, after a couple months, I was getting my butt kicked too, and so I said, all right, here we go. So I formulated a letter, dear valued tenants. Apologies in advance for all the canine drug sniffing dogs that you'll see. That we're going to be. We're working with the local police department to train their new canine drug sniffing dogs. So you'll see them all throughout the parking lots and common areas. They won't be going into your house, of course, but they'll be everywhere. So we apologize that but we wanted to help the local community by training the drug sniffing dogs. Well, they scattered like cockroaches, right? Speaking of cockroaches, okay, so. Boy, hiring exterminator. The best thing to do for cockroaches is borax laundry detergent.
Really?
Yeah, just that'll kill them. Yeah, put a little bit of sugar in there to attract them because it sticks to their legs and it just grinds them to death. That's I know that sounds terrible, but the reason it works so well is because it sticks to their legs and then they go back to their nest and bring it with them. And it kills them all. Yeah. So, I mean, just stupid little things like that over time, you just realize I've got 100 other ones, that make a difference. And so to take all those learnings as a new investor and kind of categorize and retain them for future use will make a difference at the end of your journey when you start scaling upwards. So yeah, I've got a million of those, unfortunately.
I love all of that. A good friend of mine, John Blackburn, I coach for his coaching program. He likes to put the plastic bins underneath the sink and Because in case there's a water leak, because the
Yeah,
first thing that is that
that's right.
press board underneath, but he puts it
That's
in, you
right.
think, oh, how nice, he left us a little place to put our cleaning supplies, but
Yeah.
it's really to catch the water and not destroy the
That's what it
bottom
is.
of the cabinet.
Here's another way to do it. Here's what I do. That's a good tip. Here's what I do in that same exact scenario. Because to your point, under the kitchen and bathroom sinks are all particle boards. So if you get any leak in that little S trap, and you get leaks there, because what happens is it's storage to the tenant, and they're just shoving shit in there, and they're
Right.
banging up against the pipes, and eventually it leaks. It's common. So a great way to do that as well is to get Flex Seal paint. So Flex Seal, like that stuff you see on TV,
Yes.
they make a paint that comes in like a quart, and it's like $20 for a quart, so it's a little pricey, but it's super thick, like it's really rubber. So just paint the bottom of that and create a little tub, yeah, on your sink. Paint the whole bottom, and it'll work like a charm. So it catches
Genius.
minor leaks. Yeah, it's kind of cool, huh? And they won't steal your tub from you.
Well,
So
we could talk about this for hours, I'm sure, but
yeah,
I
we
want to
could.
get
Yes, we
real quickly into this 31-page lease. I want to know what makes it bulletproof.
so well, I guess I should start by saying it's a good name, but understand that a good lease is designed to avoid court as much as win in court. So in tenant-friendly states, we can show up with a 500-page lease. A judge has, in a lot of locales, what they call arbitrary powers. They can do whatever they want,
Okay.
whatever they want. It doesn't matter what was signed. So just kind of knowing that. So what my lease is designed to do is to avoid court and, of course, win in court. If we have to go to court, then that's unfortunate, but I want to win when I go to court. So my lease is full of carrot and sticks. Where so I'll give you
Did you say
I'll give you another.
carrots and sticks?
Yeah. So a little bit of incentive, a little bit of punishment.
Okay.
Okay. So let me see. Holdover fee. Let's use this one. So here's how it works. So tenant gives you notice. Hey, I'll be out on the 31st. Okay. And a couple of days before the 31st, you get a call. Hey, Jen, listen, I didn't realize the 31st was on a Sunday. My brother has to work on Sunday, so he can't get the U-Haul. So he'll get the U-Haul Monday, and then I'll be out Tuesday. You think, okay, no big deal. Well, that's a big deal. So I have a holdover fee. So the lease doesn't expire on the 31st. It expires on the 31st at noon. Okay. Always put a time on it during the day, never on the 31st. Because the problem is, to the tenant, the 31st means midnight.
Right.
And therefore at 11 p.m., they're moving out. All right. And waking up all the neighbors. Now you're getting phone calls. So at noon, so at 12:01 p.m., if you're still there, you owe me $100 a calendar day. Okay. And here's why. I don't care about the $100. I'm trying to incentivize them to move out and be on time, because what happens is I probably have that unit rented. You're moving out, they're moving in. Well, now this guy can't move in. So now he's got to get a hotel room, so the ripple effect of you
Right.
staying a couple of days is great. So I put in there a little bit of an incentive, call it a stick. It's going to cost you a cleaning fee addendum. I have 2-page in my lease is cleaning fees. Everything has a price. Every coat hanger is $9. Every fork, every Chinese takeout menu, every bag, every mattress, it all has a price. Okay, so and then they sign and initial it that hey, listen, I'm the world's most expensive maid service. You want to hire me? I'll be your Huckleberry. I'll pick up after you if you want to be a slob. But this is what I charge. Electronic communication only. No, he said, she said. I don't want you showing up at the housing court. And I told him I smelled gas. Nope, we agree to communicate electronically via text or email at these addresses, and you agree you have those capabilities. $175 I charge. This will happen all the time to new investors. So Jen, you call, hey, listen, I got a small leak or whatever it is, maintenance request. Okay, yeah, great. The guy will be there tomorrow at 10. Okay, guy shows up tomorrow at 10, knocks on your door, you open and go, oh, today's not good. My husband had to work night last night. He's sleeping. Or my baby's sick. You'll hear that one all the time. Well, the guy's there. I paid the guy to be there. So it's $175 if you don't let us in after I've given you all the legally required notices. Wow. Okay, so fine, I'll go away. We can't kick in the door. It's I don't have the right to do that. So I could just go on and on. All that little tips and tricks. No parking. I never include parking in any of my buildings. Parking's actually specifically is excluded. Now you can park there as a courtesy only. Okay. But if you don't like the way my plowing guy does, then don't park there. Or if you're going to abuse the privilege, I'll boot you. You don't have the right to park there, but I'll let you park there as a courtesy only. And the reason I do that, and if you're in a snow state, you better do that, because what will happen is you're going to get 3 feet of snow tomorrow, but it doesn't all dump 3 feet at once. What happens is it takes 12 hours. So at 4 a.m., the plow guy came when it snowed about 1.5 feet, and he plowed out. Well, then your tenant wakes up at 8 a.m. and there's another 1.5 feet on the ground. He goes, "Hey, when's the plow guy coming?" Well, he'll be there. He just left 3 hours ago. It's still snowing, is, "Oh, I got to get to work." So now you think, well, that's not a big deal, but now 800 units. All you'll do is answer. I used to dread snow days. So we implemented park as a courtesy only. If you think you got to be out and you're not sure if we can get you plowed out in time, then don't park there. But don't call me, because it's $90 to call me. So and I need a credit card before I'll take the call. So all those little rules aren't meant to be a jerk. It's just meant to maintain sanity. But these are all explained. There's no fine print in my lease. It's in your face, and they know the ramifications for non-performance. So that's just, yeah, it's 31 pages, and they initial probably, I don't know, 50 times throughout that. Yeah.
All right. So people listening, how do they get their hands on this Bulletproof Lease?
Yeah, simple, bulletprooflease.com. Check me out on TikTok if you want. TikTok, I think it's /bulletproof lease. And I have Facebook and YouTube and all that. So I'm not a social media guy, but that's how you get a hold of me if you're interested in the lease or a one-on-one mentorship. So
it's so funny. You said you're 58. Is that what you said?
I am 58. I'll be 59 next month.
And you're the oldest person on TikTok. I'm 52. I don't even have TikTok.
There you go. You're proving my point. Yeah.
Exactly.
If I was a rapper, my rap name would be Ice Age or Bust a Hip.
Bust a Hip. Oh my goodness. Well, this has been amazing. And before we move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Ron a badass, and I use the acronym badass, what's one thing that you would love to shout from the mountaintop to investors before they start buying rental properties?
So obviously do your due diligence, so the object is not to just buy rental properties. The object is, if you're buying rental properties for cash flow, the object is to make money, right? We're doing this to make money. I can't tell you how many deals that I didn't buy. I could have owned 3 times the units I did, but I was hyper selective because I'm doing this for money. So I had a numerical number I had to fit, and I didn't deviate from that. So another thing, cash on cash. I hate cash on cash as a metric to buy cash. I hate it. Here's why. Okay. And invariably, I can always spot somebody who doesn't know what they're doing when they're bragging about their cash on cash return. And I see them all the time. I'm getting 100% cash on cash return. Well, you're probably over levered then. So if you put $1 down on a 6-unit building and you ran it all year and you made $1 profit, technically that's a 100% cash on cash return. But you ran an entire building for $1. I'd say you failed. So be careful of a too high of a cash on cash return. Chase the profit per door metric. I look for $250 to $350 per month per door.
Yep.
Okay. My cash flow, not my cash on cash. So don't be lulled into a false sense of security based on metrics that may not be true. That would be my biggest advice. And probably let me just add to that. One last thing is what we started this show off with is join your local RIA. That's probably number one. I mean, and I don't have a vested interest in that anymore, but it's just so important that to get in the room with not only, in that room is your contractor, your insurance guy, your lender, your hard money lender, your eviction attorney, your closing attorney, your potential private money guy, your educator, your mentor. Yeah. So that room is your entire network that will propel you, so yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice is what we started with, I suppose.
Awesome. Ron, you are just awesome. I really, truly appreciate this. We are going to jump into the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Ron Faraci.
You said it right. Look at you. Now you're just showing off.
What makes Ron Faraci a badass, which you are, and I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I'm probably going to answer that like everybody does, because it's the Bible, and that's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's, I don't know if there's any advice in there other than a paradigm shift.
Yes.
For me, second place for me, I'll answer that. And it's a close second place, by the way, real close, is Personal Power by Tony Robbins.
Huh.
Yeah, it's all about mind with make. To tie into what you announced, don't take rejection personally. And I don't.
It's
Yeah.
so funny you said Rich Dad Poor Dad because I am part of my neighborhood book club, all the ladies. And tonight is the end of the year where we just have a little potluck dinner, but we choose the books for next year. And what did I put in there? Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I love it. We're
It's all
kindred
these
spirits.
Wuthering Heights is on the list that they want to read for the
Yeah.
women. I'm like, Rich Dad
Yeah.
Poor Dad. Like, let's get
Yeah.
some shit done. So
I love it. Yeah.
yes. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us excellent advice, but I'm curious, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice, boy, that's a good one. You got me on the spot. I don't know where I heard it, and it doesn't really apply to real estate. And I'll say judge slowly. So, being my personality mixed with what I did for a living, there's times that I fly off the handle maybe a little too quick, and I recognize that about myself, and come to an assumption that may not be true because emotions. I've learned to, and it's a work in progress. I am a work in progress, and that is to judge slowly. Take your time, breathe, and assess the situation. Don't react with emotion.
I am so glad you said that. And that reminds me of one of my tenants because he had like face tats. He had the Confederate flag hanging from his front window.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Lord. And I really
We're
wanted to not like him. And we're walking in. He's got these two pot plants that right at his front entrance. I'm like, oh, I see you're an avid gardener. And but our property management was with us at the time. And she said, well, actually in Virginia, because I'm in North Carolina, she said, in Virginia, each household is allowed two pot plants. I'm like, sweet. But I looked down at the vacant doors and there's two pot plants in front of that vacant door, two pot plants.
Well played.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he ended up mowing the lawn for us. So that was one of the things where I was really quick to judge. So I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up. That is in this business, you really have to put that aside. And even those Confederate waving flag people, they need places to live as
They
well.
do. Their money is as green as anybody else's.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, the D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
So I'll change that a little bit. Drove me to be successful.
Okay.
So the arc of my life, and everybody should take something from this. So when you're younger, right, you're in growth mode, acquire, cash flow, whatever, build, and then the arc is that you get older, and then now it's time to throttle down. Right. So I'm in throttle down mode and I'm not trying to grow or anything like that. If I sell leases, great. If I don't, fine too. So, but what drove me was time. I just wanted to spend time with my family. There's nothing sexy about it. I redefined success as I could spend my days how I want, with whom I want, where I want, for however long I wanted.
Right.
While all my buddies were sitting on highway, going to work, I was at home or doing whatever with my dogs, just hanging out. So time was my coin of the realm.
Love it. All right. The second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on? Can be personal, can be business, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't know that I have a business goal. I don't have anything I'm trying to achieve anymore from a financial standpoint. I'm trying not to lose my money in the stock market. That's a new thing for me. So if that's a goal, then not to lose my money in the stock market. So an aspiration for me personally is to just try to kind of enjoy the here and now. One negative about my business was it's all encompassing. It can suck your soul, and sometimes you're not present. We talk about presence during the holiday. I'm talking about presence. To be in the moment, not looking forward nor backwards, but to enjoy the here and now. And that's a struggle for me. I'll be the first to admit that. But that would be an aspiration of mine personally.
And that's tough when you haven't been doing that your whole life and to put that in the focus. So I get
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was tough to slow down just for Thanksgiving because I was like, we should paint a wall. We should do something, like what? Who's talking?
Yes.
So, yes,
Exactly. Exactly. I love it.
All right. The first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So that's probably where my weakest point is. So all hail to my wife. My wife is an operations expert. I am me and operations like watching a monkey hump of football. I'm just it's yeah. So in terms of systems, I don't really have much to add to that other than to say that everything is a system on the way up. So you have to systemize or you can't scale.
Right.
Right. So the systems to run my portfolio, the back end was run by my wife, not me. So my job was to rents, maintenance, vacancies, showings, and the day-to-day running of that. But I didn't implement the system, she did. And that system, just for those curious, was Rent Tech was the software that we used to do all that. Yep.
And having that partner in life is so important because I'm clearly the looks and the mouth of our business.
Yes. I love it.
My husband is the accountant. He's got the brains behind things, but
my wife too.
Yes, we balance each other out very well. Well, Ron, I could talk to you all day, but the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to you?
I'm living it. I used to think, by the way. So it's changed. It's changed. As you get older, it'll change. So I always thought it was the big house on the hill, driving a Benz, and I had all that. I lived in the gorgeous home, the New England estate, really. Multiple Mercedes, big bills to go with that. And I always thought that was the definition of success, that it was external. That's not true. The definition of success is like, so what is today? It's not the weekend, is it? The fact that I didn't even know that, by the way, kind of illustrates my point, right? It's a Thursday. Okay. So it's a Thursday. I guess I don't want to show it to you. I'm in shorts right now and bare feet. What you can't see below the camera, you and I can see each other. So I'm barefoot. When I get done here, I'm going up to literally, like, I'm going to be walking out the door here in a minute and going up to pick up. I bought a new MacBook, going to pick up that. Then I'm going to go to our private beach and we're going to have dinner tonight. During a workday, I'm able to do whatever I want because I came to the realization that years ago, retirement is not an age, it's a mathematical formula.
Yes.
And so how many units did I need to just tell my boss to F off? And that's what I did. So success for me is spending a work day however I'd like.
Well, I am so honored you chose to use this work day and spend it with me and our audience. And Ron, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. One more time, how do they find your lease?
Bulletprooflease.com. Easy to find. And Bulletproof Lease on TikTok, and reach out if you have any questions or anything like that. And I got to tell you, Jen, I do a lot of these podcasts. You do a great job. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.